Hey guys, we're here with a special guest today, my boy Rehan, who topped yet another event and now second place at the North American Remote Duel YCS. Huge congrats to you with Yubel. You've been playing this deck pretty recently, I guess. What are your thoughts on it now?
It's actually really fun to play. Like you said, I've only been playing it for like 3 or 4 weeks now, I think. And I just picked it up because I thought it was fun to play. It's good in the format, and I'm surprised like the representation is actually very low. I think in top 16 there are only two Ubels. So not a lot of representation, which I understand because it hard loses to like chummies. But then obviously like you played that, while taking that into account. But I think the deck was fine.
Awesome. Well, let's just get right into the list then.
Sure. I can start with the main. For anybody that's I guess watched the regional topping deck profile, I topped Toronto Regional with this. I got fifth. It's very similar to that list. I kind of just like narrowed it down a bit, but it's very similar to that. It's like the six starters. Excuse me if it's like a bit blurry, but like, it's fine. Like very standard starters. I tend to like cut this down going second a bit, just because I don't want to like clog on too many normal summons going second. But other than that, like nothing to complain about. Very standard Ubel ratios, Ubel, Terra Incarnate. Um, Again, very solid stuff. There was a game actually where in top 16 where I won against Tenpai because they just can't out like double Spirit. So I went Lotus. They went shifted me. So I went Lotus, summon one Spirit, and then I went Throne, search another Spirit, and they just didn't get to out like both spirits. So I was able to win the game, thankfully because of it. But yeah, I thought this deck's Tenpai matchup was actually really iffy. Like the issue is like they shifter you, um, like you're kind of scrambling, but then also play like Fua and Purulia. But at the same time, like they tend to like struggle to out like Yubel monsters. Um, but I don't know. I lost to Tenpai in the finals. I got 2-0'd by Tenpai, unfortunately. I opened really weak hands. And then Tenpai had Tenpai moments. But yeah, so I think it was fine. The other thing was like I think Tenpai always makes you go first. Um, so like taking that into account, like this is probably like the best build a board deck. So if you have like a really prevalent deck in the meta that like wants to make you go first and just gonna like chuck hand traps at you, like that's almost like favorable. I know like there's cards like in the form of like the Fuas and things like that that make the matchup really difficult at times, but that's gonna be the case for any deck. But if they don't draw those cards, or if you haven't answered like way to beat those cards, then I think Yubel probably has like one of the better Tempai matchups, just because of like how big your board is and like if you go into like hand traps and like board breakers. If you open gas, like you're able to like play through those cards, and then their engine isn't weak, strong enough to like beat you. So I thought that like that was something that was going for this. The one Squirmer, so very standard U-Bell ratios. Three, and then these, so very standard stuff. Nothing overly spicy or different from my regional deck. Shavara Escape, still playing this. I just think it's better, both into like Fua and just overall into the field as well. Made a lot of good half boards with this, which came clutch just because Rage always adds back follow up, which is something you always want to play for. Three Throne, card's really good. Help for like Yubela TKs. Card's crazy. Shout out to Maki for giving me this. Good card. The unfortunate part was there were a few times where I opened this and I would just grab Beckoning Beast, but then there's like no other target to search. So that did come up a few times, but I don't think it's like it's worth playing the additional break just to like make the one break not be an actual break. So I don't know how I feel about that, but like this card's good. Then just more spells, one for one, terraforming. I said this I'm going second a lot, just because you're throwing hand traps, so you don't have as many monsters to like discard. Terraforming for one of the best field spells in the game. Track for one of the best engines in the game. God card. This card helped me so much. I called by Shifter, Perulias, Ash Blossoms, the Azamina negate. Like there's so much that call by hits. Probably like, one of the MVPs of the day of the entire tournament. Talents. I actually didn't never use talents to like hand rip or anything like that. I just never saw it like that. The only time I used it was to thrust into talents to take an opponent's Caesar to be able to like combo with it. It's here because I played thrust in the sides, but it wasn't anything crazy. I actually lost in the finals because I opened thrust talents and I normally went beckoning beast and my opponent impermed it. So like if this was any other engine card, I could have pushed, but like because I had thrust talents and my opponent didn't activate a monster effect, I just lost. So that's like a majority of the engine. The remainder is just hand traps. You just play a lot of them. Still a very hand trap dominant format. This card's very important. Negates like Fuas and Perulias. So you always want to have this in. Flag Veiler just because I think hitting like a Witch and like Pydra whenever possible, or any other shorter is very powerful. Against Tenpai, I tend to take this out because you lose it to the Shifter. It's not very good into like the field spell, and then if they make you go first, you don't know if you're going first or second, so this card doesn't do as much. So I tend to side these out against the Tenpai matchup. Playing 3 Mourners. Card is very good. Good into Shifter, good into the Witch. It's good into Tenpai as well, obviously. I use it to negate like a few Samurai Destroyers, which makes your board like basically unoutable for the Yubel matchup. And then they just, they've exhausted their resources in their engine, and then they end on a seals, but like, you still have follow up. God card of the tournament. Draw and Lockbird card was insane. I used it to stop my opponent's Fua. Like I would give them like 1 Fua draw, add Squirmer or add like Sharvara, and then I would draw myself. And so like I don't need to like you only add like once or twice with this deck as much really. So once you've done like one of your key adds, you just draw, and then your opponent isn't drawing anymore. And then they're usually relying on like that Fua to go grab the more hand traps or like dissuade you from playing. But then like if you draw yourself, now you're just able to like make the full board. And you're chilling because you're able to play through like the more less impactful hand traps like Ashen Veiler or Mourner pretty well. So I thought this card is insane. Your board backed by Droll, very good. Again against Fua, very good. Against Snake Eye Fire King, very good. I was playing Chummies earlier in the tournament, into a Snake Eye Fire King deck, and I realized they were able to like make half boards, which my deck wasn't able to crack. So and I was like pretty weak. I didn't like playing the Chinese. So then I would keep the Drolls in Top Cut. I played against Austin Collins, so the DB Grinder, and I played against friend John Wilkin. They're both on Snake Eye Fire King, and this card put in so much work against that matchup. And I didn't side in the Chummies into that matchup as much. I would side in 1 Perulia, 3 Fuwalos, but I think even though there's like a bit of a I was gonna say contraindication, but like a bit of like mix up between like Drolls and Fuas. I think just how powerful Droll is into the Snake Eye Fire King matchup. You're fine risking having them like clump together or like interfere with each other for the benefit of just like having Droll resolve. I think every time Droll resolved into that matchup, I think I won the game. So probably MVP of the day was probably Droll and Lockbird. Really good card into the Snake Eye Fire King matchup, and then just more hand traps. Imperm. So I think that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was 15 hand traps. And then I sided into like more post side. So a very hand trap focused build. The issue is like your starters are relatively weak. Going second outside of like perhaps Throne and Engraver. So it's not like you want your opponent to end on like a half board. You want them to end on no board, which is what you're aiming for. I'll go over the extra. Very very basic. Phantom, double Phantom, Moon, this, and this. Really good package. Against a few matchups, like I would like slow roll them, and I would just like play Fiendsmith and Unchained Control, and it was fine. Just because I like how grindy this engine is relative to like the rest of your deck. Double Yama, just because you're playing the escape stuff, but also just very good. Obviously playing the Rage. This card is very good. Just going into boards like games 1 and 2 whenever you're going second or something. Being able to like remove bodies on the field while establishing your own board is actually very powerful, and something like this deck doesn't have as much when it comes to like on your own turn. So you don't have to like something like Anima or the Link 5 cards, but I think this card is very good, and I would continue playing this. Then you have Varudra, you have Caesar, very good card. Aerial Eater, very good card, and then just some links. Oops, sorry about that. So that's it for the extra deck, and then I'll just go over the side real quick. 3 Fuwalos. I played 1 at Toronto because I only owned 1. I still only own 1. Shout out to David Hartford for lending me 2 more. Every single time David has lent me cards, I have topped. So I don't know what it is, but he's magical. So 3 of these. Very good card. Every single time this card resolved, I think I won the game. Just because like it just makes your opponent like not play or play awkwardly, and then because you get a pass back, like you're better into hand traps. And even if you just get like one or two draws, as long as you have like sufficient non-engine engine combinations, you're able to like push through like some of the boards. So I think this card is very good. This card on the other hand was very poor. I know like this card is technically supposed to be better against Snake Eye Fire King, but like it really wasn't. Um I genuinely probably would not play this card again. It was very mediocre. My idea was that going second, I would side in 6 chummies, and I would take out 3 drolls, and I would take out like the Unchained Trap. I would take out 1 for 1, and I would take out 1 Samsara. Just because you don't really want to see those cards as much going second. So you would play the 6 chummies and then try to like draw into like good combinations of like engine and non-engine. In theory, like that was a fine idea, but the issue is like the chummy just doesn't give you as many draws. Like a lot of the time your opponent will just give you 1 draw, right? And now this could have been an actual hand trap or something like draw, but it wasn't, and it just turned into like almost like a 1 for 1, right? So I thought this was really weak. This on the other hand was very powerful. I would not play this again. Very weak card. So that's for the 6 chummies. 3 cosmics. This is what I side in going first into Snake Eye Fire King, just because they play Deception, they play the Field Spell. I thought this was better than just playing anything else. Also for the Centurion matchup, just because Centurion can set up pretty well, and then it's hard to beat them if you don't have Cosmics. I don't think I sided this once the entire day. I played like one Centurion, and I didn't see it then. Oh no, I did see it then, and I just won me the game. Never mind. My go first card for Snake Eye Fire King or Snake Eye Azamina decks, just rivalry. I'm not a fan. Like I play the Thrust package as well, and I know a lot of people play DDG for that matchup. DDG is so poor. The issue is like your opponent like Fu as you or Puruli as you, and then you have a decision to make. You either make a half board then thrust into DDG. In that scenario, the issue is that if you have a half board, a lot of your cards in this deck do float. So then the issue becomes you're losing out on follow up because if cards, for example, like you use DDG and now you use Phantom of Yubel, that Spirit is banished, and if the Yubel is outed, that is also banished, and then the Phantom is now also banished. So you start losing out on follow up, and then the opponent can also just like make a half board into this pretty easily. And like if you just go DDG pass and you don't do anything, then your opponent can also just like play conservatively and you just lose to hand traps. So you lose it on tempo. So I thought the DDG card is really not good. Also for the mirror match, D barrier is much better than DDG. I don't know if people play DDG for the mirror match. This is so much better. Like we went through like half of my extra. All of the important stuff, the Aerial Eater, the Phantoms, the Desiree, that's all fusions. So if you're not able to like resolve sequence, right, your Fiendsmith engine isn't doing as much. If you're not able to make Phantoms, like you're not applying as much pressure. So definitely Barrier's much better card. So primarily this was for Tenpai, and if I needed to, the mirror match. This was for Snake Eye Fiendsmith, just because when they do start trading hand traps into you, this is a card that they struggle to out, and this gives you ability to recover some tempo, and win more on the hand trap. So that even if you are trading hand traps back and forth in terms of starters and top decks, the fact that you have rivalry just really limits their overall momentum of how much they can extend, while not really hindering you in any sort of way. So that was the thought on this. I only saw it once against Jesse. He played really well. So Jesse Cotton, he played really well into this, and he was able to out this with the Fire King pop, so Skybird. I would probably continue playing this. No real complaints. It's also good against Centurion and other like random rogue decks. Last card in my side, I built this deck with Tenpai in mind, which is pretty ironic considering the fact that I lost finals to Tenpai. Regeki, I was told to play this by some of the people I test with, so like Mackie and Thomas and Steven Santoli. And the idea is that since you're playing Thrust into the Tenpai matchup anyways, you want a card that can out Drago, right? So regardless post side, you don't know if your opponent's gonna make you go first, second. So you're always putting in Thrust, you're always putting in Barrier. So you have Ash Blossom, you have Mourner as your, and you have Callby as like your ability to not get hit by Drago in the matchup going second, right? But when you play Talon, when you play Thrust as well, now you can always just sign into Regeki, which is like a general, I guess, decent card for going second. And you can just like Regeki their board, because sometimes they'll also leave like a Genroku as well. So it makes it awkward for you to like attack over their monster because then they'll do like Genroku shenanigans and just make it so that you'll just never be able to attack over it. So they said Regeki was good. Honestly, I played it. I didn't think it was great. I probably would not play this again. The other consideration is that something that the OCG does is that they side Nightmare Phoenix or they play a Nightmare Phoenix in the extra. And so the approach is that you're able to use Thrust as to grab triple tactic talent, take their Drago, and then link your monster and the Drago into a Nightmare Phoenix, which is a fire. But what's relevant in that scenario is that the Nightmare Phoenix is also a fiend, which allows you to do Yama shenanigans and continue your engine without really missing a beat. Um, but like again, I think the extra is a bit too tight for a card like that. Moving forward, if I were to make any changes, I would probably just like I don't know, play swap the Perulias for something more respecting of Tenpai. I think that matchup is really difficult. Not in the sense that like it's a hard matchup to navigate, but like there's so much variance. Like they could just a break and you establish a full board through one hand trap, and then you win. Or like they'll play like Perulia, Shifter, and Fuwalos, and then they just infinite draw, normal summon a Chandra, and then they beat you. It's unfortunate that the deck exists, and I hope it dies soon because I don't think it's great for the game because not because I lost to it, but because it's I think it really sort of nullifies a lot of the interaction in the game. So yeah, I was very happy to get second. Although it sucks losing in the final, I think this is probably like one of my better achievements to date. Um, I had no idea I was gonna, play this well or go this far. So huge shout out to everyone that supported me over the past 48 hours. It was a bit rough because day one was 9 rounds. I was fortunate to get 2 buys for this just because I have VIP status for remote events. But like last night we ended at like 12:30, but it was good. My friends were able to like keep me motivated. A lot of them. So shout out to like Joey. Shout out to Steven Santoli for telling me to lock in because I was very unlocked until like round 6. Then I went like 8-0 until the finals. And then shout out to my fiance, and then also shout out to you for hosting me again on the channel and yeah, just letting me, I guess, talk through your channel and your videos. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks as always. Congrats again, and take care, everyone.